Welcome to Silent Crime Case, where we uncover the stories that haunt small towns and unravel lives. Today, we delve into a case where obsession and power collided with deadly consequences. A judge's obsessive relationship with the sheriff's daughter spiraled out of control, leading to a gruesome murder that shocked the close-knit community of Brightwood, Vermont. Join us as we uncover the unsettling details behind this ill-fated attraction and its tragic outcome. Evelyn Harper, 20, was a quiet and talented artist living in Brightwood. Known for her peaceful nature and dedication to her craft, Evelyn had become a familiar face at local art events, especially at the downtown gallery where she exhibited her breathtaking landscape paintings. She came from a close-knit family, and her father, Brightwood Sheriff Robert Harper, was her greatest supporter and role model. Evelyn was always proud of her father's work, and often told friends how much she admired his strong moral code and dedication to keeping their town safe. Evelyn had recently gained attention through her artwork, and, much to her surprise, had caught the eye of one of the town's most influential figures, Judge Victor Alden. The 53-year-old district judge was well known in Brightwood for his charm and influence, but those who knew him intimately were aware of his darker side. Alden had a reputation for being overbearing and relentless when he wanted something, especially when it came to women. And in this case, the object of his fixation was Evelyn. Evelyn first met Judge Alden in early 2014 at a fundraiser held at the Brightwood Civic Center. She had been showcasing her art, and the judge, more than twice her age, was instantly drawn to her. What began as friendly conversation quickly turned into a calculated pursuit. Alden began showing up at her favorite art supply store and dropping by daily at the studio she rented on Main Street. He showered her with compliments about her work and, over time, assumed the role of a mentor, offering to help advance her art career by promising scholarships and funding. But his intentions were far from innocent. At first, Evelyn was flattered but uncomfortable. She often brushed off Alden's advances, hoping he would lose interest. But he was persistent. He called her cell phone dozens of times in the middle of the night, sent extravagant bouquets of flowers to her apartment, and once even invited her to a private dinner at an upscale restaurant, which she politely declined. Still, Alden's fixation only seemed to grow. Evelyn confided in her best friend, Clara Weston, that the judge's attention made her uneasy, but she felt unsure how to handle the situation given his power and influence. Finally, on June 23, 2014, just days before her death, Evelyn gave in to Alden's relentless demands for a meeting. She met him in his office, where he made his intentions for a sexual relationship clear. Against her better judgment and feeling worn down by his constant advances, Evelyn relented. They ended up having sex on the polished wooden desk in his chambers. Afterward, Evelyn felt confused, ashamed, and trapped. She questioned her decision, struggling with the sense that she had crossed a line and become ensnared by Alden's hold over her life. This internal conflict weighed heavily on her mind in the days that followed. This fateful encounter marked the beginning of a downward spiral that would ultimately seal her tragic fate. On June 29, 2014, just after sunrise, Evelyn's body was discovered in her Brightwood apartment. The call came in at 6:23 a.m., made by her housekeeper, Martha Clemens, who worked for a local cleaning service. Martha, who cleaned the apartment complex twice a week, unlocked Evelyn's door to start her morning duties and quickly noticed something was off. The apartment was quiet, eerily so, with none of the usual sounds of Evelyn's morning routine. When Martha called out and received no response, she felt a growing sense of unease. Deciding to check the bathroom, she stumbled upon a chilling sight. Evelyn was lying motionless in the bathtub, naked, with deep stab wounds visible across her chest. Blood had stained the water, and the small bathroom felt unnervingly sterile, as if someone had taken extra care to arrange the scene. The shower curtain was neatly pulled aside, and none of Evelyn's personal items appeared disturbed. Her makeup and hairbrush were still in their usual places. Shaken to the core, Martha backed out of the room, barely able to process what she had seen. She stumbled to the apartment lobby, where she quickly called 911. Within minutes, Brightwood police arrived on the scene. The team moved swiftly, setting up a perimeter around Evelyn's apartment. Local reporters from the Brightwood Times gathered outside, hoping to catch any details from officers as news of the murder spread. As police surveyed the scene, they noted the unsettling, staged feel of the room. It was clear that this wasn't a typical break-in. The door locks were intact, there were no signs of forced entry, and none of Evelyn's valuables seemed to be missing. Her wallet and phone were right where she usually kept them. The only sign of violence was in the bathroom, yet it felt oddly meticulous, almost as if someone had planned for it to look like a random attack. Detective Lucas Harlow, who led the investigation, entered the bathroom and was struck by the disturbing contrast of brutality and careful staging. Evelyn's body was in the tub, but everything around her seemed untouched. It wasn't the chaotic mess of a typical murder scene. It was disturbingly clean, almost too perfect. Forensic specialist Daniel Chu, brought in from Burlington, began his examination, carefully dusting surfaces for fingerprints and looking for any trace evidence that might have been left behind. He noticed that there were no clear prints on any major surfaces. The sink, mirror, and even the edges of the tub appeared to have been wiped down. This suggested an intentional attempt by the killer to erase their presence. Detective Harlow took meticulous notes, observing every detail from the placement of Evelyn's belongings to the eerily sterile condition of the bathroom. Chu used an alternative light source to search for bodily fluids or hidden traces, while Officer Sophia Dean spoke with Martha Clemens, who was still visibly shaken. Martha recounted the unsettling silence of the apartment and the horrifying moment she opened the bathroom door. Her shock and disbelief were evident as she pieced together the morning's tragic events, a discovery that would change Brightwood forever. As the investigation progressed, the scene grew quieter inside the apartment, with only the clicks of Chu's forensic camera and the muffled voices of the investigative team breaking the silence. Outside, Brightwood residents gathered, murmuring in growing concern as news spread. Reporters jostled for positions to capture photographs of the complex and interview neighbors who stood outside, eager for details. Detective Harlow remained focused, directing his team to search for evidence near the apartment's entrance and windows. The lack of forced entry suggested that Evelyn may have voluntarily let her killer in, a chilling possibility that deepened the mystery. Detective Harlow and his team quickly identified potential suspects. Judge Victor Alden, a respected yet controversial figure, immediately came under scrutiny. A search of Alden's office revealed a series of hidden recordings of private conversations with Evelyn, as well as personal photographs of her taken without her knowledge. Investigators also found documents he had manipulated to influence her art grant approvals, revealing the judge's disturbing obsession. But the most shocking discovery was a recent journal entry and explicit photos from a night just days before Evelyn's death, confirming that Alden and Evelyn had been sexually involved. During police questioning, Alden maintained a calm demeanor but showed signs of nervousness as detectives pressed deeper into his relationship with Evelyn. Although he denied any involvement in her murder, he could not explain the invasive recordings and photographs, leaving investigators convinced that his fixation on Evelyn had spiraled dangerously out of control. Alden's obsessive behavior painted a troubling picture, making him a primary suspect. But the investigation took another turn when evidence pointed to Sheriff Robert Harper himself. As Evelyn's father, Robert's protective nature and his position in law enforcement complicated the case. Witnesses came forward describing heated arguments between Robert and Alden in the weeks leading up to Evelyn's death. Tensions between the sheriff and the judge had been mounting for years, fueled by professional rivalry and personal animosity.